It is now possible for the zombie virus to be weaponized as a bioterror weapon. Not only that, it's also possible for it to mutate fast enough to prevent any cure from being effective. So let's dig into the how and why this is possible and what we can do about it to protect ourselves and our families. There are currently 5 types of zombie viruses already existing in nature. None of these, as they exist right now, affect humans. At least not yet. With the recent developments in gene editing, it is now possible to edit genes of any one of the existing zombie viruses to make them effective against humans. So how is this possible? Well, in 2020, the Nobel Prize in Chemistry recognized the development of a new type of genetic scissors called CRISPR-Cas9. It's a new gene editing tool, and it's very effective. It's been used so far to treat genetic conditions. However, there is a downside that this new tool could be used in much more sinister ways, such as the weaponizing of diseases or mutating diseases, such as the zombie virus, so that it affects people. Now, I'm not saying that it will be done, only that it can be done as of right now. If a zombie-like disease were created, I doubt the dead would rise, but we would definitely be looking at a Type 3 zombie situation. For those that are not aware of what a Type 3 zombie is, watch my videos, Zombies. 3 types. If any of the existing zombie viruses were subject to gene editing, not only could it be made to affect humans, but it also could be made resistant to antibiotics and antivirals. Such an infection that passed through saliva with extremely high transmission and mortality rate, and which caused agitation, destructive behavior, and death, wouldn't be far off from the horror that we see in zombie movies or on the Walking Dead TV show. Imagine these 2 viruses being genetically altered and combined with a zombie virus. Now don't forget, it's now possible thanks to the ingenuity of modern science. The science fiction of today is now becoming the nightmare of tomorrow. When considering all the things that could go wrong in genetic research and gene editing by unscrupulous people, it's no wonder that in 2018, the Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper, termed genetic editing as weapons of mass destruction and proliferation. So now we know the how and why of it all, but what can we do to stop it? Is there anything we can do to stop it? Well, in 2018, the U.S. government released its first biodefense strategy. The plan covers international bioterror threat, of which the zombie virus certainly is, but also naturally occurring outbreaks and diseases that could escape a lab accidentally. Considering how only a year after the government released this plan, COVID-19 swept across the world almost completely unchecked, leaving millions of deaths in its wake and economies and businesses across the globe in ruins. Okay, so what did we learn? Well, first, that we were completely unprepared to deal with the virus. Secondly, a lot of people believe that the government badly handled the situation. Lastly, that virus can mutate before an effective treatment or cure can be developed, and that the researchers didn't know if the vaccine for COVID-19 would prevent the spread before it was released. The treatment for COVID-19 took 7 months to research and develop under fairly good conditions. Such treatments usually take 1 to 3 years to develop. This, however, is with a fully staffed and functioning research lab. In the wake of destruction of a fully genetically altered zombie virus, I'm not so sure the government would be effective that long. Most research models indicate that humanity would be gone in a year. Therefore, best case solution, if the zombie virus were to be released, we would have 6 months to come up with a way to either 1. Develop a cure that prevents the virus from affecting humans, a sort of genetic antivirus as it were, or 2. Some sort of treatment or vaccine that would prevent us from becoming a zombie upon death, if that is what the altered zombie virus indeed does. Right now, it's theoretical because it certainly hasn't been released at this point. Until we know what was released, we can only go with these 2 options for now. Once again, this is a hypothetical until some madman does indeed release a genetically altered virus. And let's hope that day doesn't come anytime soon. It doesn't come at all. However, if it is under development, or someone is thinking of creating a genetically altered zombie virus, how do we stop it? We do have international law conventions on biological and chemical toxins. These strictly prohibit places from buying or keeping biological weapons. But are these laws adequate? It's all well and good for people who obey the law, but what about those who don't? With gene editing technologies such as CRISPR are getting cheaper and easier to use, it seems likely that some nefarious organizations or scientists could more easily have access to something that could be used for bioterrorism. Ideally, there could be put in place laws preventing gene editing for biological weapons and only allowing for the benefit of human health. Once again, this would probably stop only those who obey the law or who have a conscience. These laws, if placed into effect, would mean nothing if they weren't enforced and severe penalties put into place by government agencies. This, of course, would have to be done by all countries, otherwise it would be meaningless. Rogue scientists, criminal organizations, and even corporations with delusions of world power, such as the WEF, for example, would find a home somewhere to work on such bioweapons. Now, I'm not saying that the WEF would do such a horrendous thing. I'm just using them currently as an example. However, until such laws come into place, we must defend ourselves by exercising our bodies and minds and learning how to prep and survive. Most importantly, we need to teach our children to be self-reliant and to think for themselves. Remember, in order for evil to grow, it just takes good to do nothing.